So today we are using cameras for the first time. So today what we want to do is just learn some of the basics of this. I'm going to try and make this video quick so that when you refer to it or you're watching it for the first time, you can just see it, understand what we got to do, and then go and film. Because today I would like you to film your first video clips. So these cameras, these DSLR cameras, are here in the classroom. They're in the lockers. Each of the lockers have different cameras in them, and that's for just the different classes from grade 10, 11, 12 video production, and grade 12 photography have different cameras. So Darren and I will get the cameras out of the locker. What you will do is you will sign out a camera. Each camera has a different number on it. So we know who's got what camera. So when you go to use a camera, the first thing you will do is you will go check a binder that we will have in the classroom, blue binder, and there will be papers in there. There's one page for each camera, and each camera will have a number on it. And then so you go to that binder. Okay, this camera number 6, no one's got it. There will be a date there. You'll sign out like what the date is. You'll put down your name and possibly a partner's name if you're going out and filming together. Then you'll put down the location. This I haven't really enforced too much in the past, but in this time we need to kind of enforce where you're going to be filming. So you might be filming outdoors. So instead of just putting outdoors, you want to be a little more specific. I'm going to be filming by the school sign out front, or I'm going to be filming by the track. I'm going to be filming in the parking lot, or I'm going to be filming just outside these doors here. So you want to be a little more specific where you are, just in case I need to find you quickly, like during class. So I can look at the binder, see who's got what camera, where they are, and then when you come back to class, you bring back the camera, you hand it to Darren and myself, or Darren or myself, and then check the camera back in. So there's like a sign out, sign back in. It's kind of like a library book. Another thing that's going to be a little bit different is when you go to the book, you sign out the camera, and then I'm going to have the hand sanitizer there, so you sanitize your hands. Then you come over, Darren and I will have our hands sanitized as well. We'll hand you the camera. When you're out filming, like we can clean this as much as we can, but try not to touch your face while you're using the camera. Then you bring the camera back, you hand it back into us, the hand sanitizer is there, you hand sanitize, sign it back in, and then you're done. So with the camera, if you have used, if you have been in photography before, some of you might have used these cameras before, so you are familiar with it. Some of the settings are going to be slightly different in this course. We are going to obviously not take photos. We're going to be using the live or the video part of
Can I take custodian to the office, please?
the video part of the camera. So the dial on the top, we will turn that on. The camera will turn on. You'll see the LED viewfinder at the back here. It'll turn on. First we check the battery. If it doesn't even turn on, that means maybe the battery is not in here. If there is no battery, we'll turn it off. At the bottom of the camera, we've got this little tiny door, and this door is fragile. So this little piece of plastic, we want to be very careful when we're opening that up, and then the battery slides in. The battery is curved in a way, and it's got a little arrow on it, so it kind of indicates, how to put it in. If it's not going in smoothly, that means you've got the battery facing the wrong direction. So the battery is easily slid in, and then you gently close the door. When you turn the camera on, there'll be a little battery indicator light on the back. You can see, okay, I got a full battery. Even if you've got 2 bars, the battery will probably last the period that you're going to be filming. If it's only got 1 bar, I would swap it out with one that is charged. I would keep the batteries charged in the cupboard right over here, so you can ask Darren or myself. Sometimes we'll say, yep, just grab the battery on your own. times we'll grab it for you. So we've got the camera turned on. Now, each camera is pretty much the same. Some cameras might be a little bit newer than another, so the buttons might be in slightly different places. But you want to find where it says LV or live. So when you press that button, it will switch to the live view. Now, this one, I have to extend the focus ring. Now the focus ring, this is my large focus, this big ring here, and it starts with L, goes to 18, 24, 35, all the way up to 55. So you want to, there's a little dot there, you want to put that dot on 18. We're going to start with 18. So that is, it's focused, or I shouldn't say focused, it's zoomed out to 18. So what we are going to do is we're going to start off with it always on 18. If we need to be more zoomed in, we're actually going to physically walk closer to whatever we want to film, as opposed to zooming in. So I don't want you to use the large zoom ring for now. So just move it to 18, press your live view. So then we've got live. We don't actually, in photography, you would put your eye up to the viewfinder here. In film, we just see on this screen what we're going to be filming. Right, so this large zoom ring, right in front of it is our fine focus. So with this, it'll be hard to see in this video, but if you point the camera at something and then you use the fine focus, you just slowly turn it one way or the other and it will focus here. Now there's a lot of things we can do in post-production. Focus is not one of those things. So if you film something completely out of focus and you come in and you're like, Mr. Hollister, where's the focus button in our Premiere? We can do some minor things in focusing in Premiere, but we can't actually take something that's out of focus and put it into focus. In Premiere, we can take something that is in focus and we can blur it if we want and take it out of focus, but we can't do the opposite. So you have to film in focus. Now, when we're filming, there is a red button. Once you've got your camera ready to go and you want to film, there is a red button at the top. When you press record, that will change a little bit the area that is being filmed. So it narrows it a little bit. So you might want to double check your frame, make sure everything is there. Because if you set everything up, everything looks good, then you hit record, it might cut off your subject's top of their head or an area that you actually wanted in there, so you have to readjust it, and then you readjust and then hit record again just to end that clip, and you go, okay, now I know exactly what I want to film. Then when you want to film, you should say out loud, 3, 2, 1, action. But you want to have that recorded. So you set up the camera, hit record, it's recording, and you go 3, 2, 1, action. That gives your subject or your whoever your talent is, your actor or actress, or yourself, if that's what you're playing at that part. That's basically, we are recording. So you hit record, 3, 2, 1, action. Oftentimes in film we'll have these clappers, or it'll snap. It'll be like scene 3, take 5, snap. And the reason why it makes that sound is because the audio is recorded separately than the video. And then when they take the audio and the video and they match them together, they see like a spike. So 3, 2, 1, action. We are going to cut that out in post-production. And then you say what you're going to say, da-da-da-da, my film that I'm reviewing is this, da-da-da, thanks for watching at the end. And then you say cut. Then you hit record to stop the recording. When we bring this into our post-production, we watch it, it says 3, 2, 1, action, we cut that part out, and at the end, thanks for watching, we hear cut, so then we cut that part out, and that part gets scrapped, okay? So, the reason why we do that is if you said, okay, we're gonna record, are you ready? Yep. And then as the person starts saying hello, that's when you're like pushing the record button. And then when you look at your clip later, it's like, hello, my name is Mr. Olmsted. So that actually is a problem if you're hitting record. It does take a second to get it going. So you want to always hit record, 3, 2, 1, action, blah, 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 cut, and then you know that you can block off screen or whatever, everything's done. Okay? Couple other things, when we are getting a camera, so that's kind of the basics of recording, so I'm not going to, I'll help you individually if you have questions again, but when you come pick up the camera, Darren, I give it to you, you go, okay, if this camera hits the ground, it is not the end of the world. If this camera falls, you just come and tell Darren or myself, this camera was dropped, can you just check it? And then we can check, and we have an idea of like what happened to it. If the camera, if something were to happen to it, and then you just bring it back, and we put it back in there, and then later on we're trying what's going on, how come this isn't working the way it should, then we have a lot harder time troubleshooting what the problems could be. So to kind of prevent that from happening, the first thing you'll do is you'll take the strap, you'll enter tourist mode, put the strap around your neck, and then you'll walk out of the room or wherever you're going to film with the camera around your neck. So then if you're carrying anything, you get your hands free for that. Now, one thing that is a little bit different than what we would normally do is we're going to try and film outside as best as we can. Obviously the weather's going to change over the course of the next couple of weeks, and it might be too hard on the cameras to film outside. We're not going to take the cameras outside if it's raining, for sure. If it's too windy, then we're trying to talk and all of a sudden the camera will have a hard time picking up audio if there's wind blowing through the microphone on the camera. So we might have to film some more things in the school. We'll figure out if there's areas in the hallway. If there are people coming by saying you got to move along, we'll try and find more empty classrooms or places where we can film. So normally I would say never walk backwards. So when you're filming and you set up and you go, okay, I need to get further back. As soon as you start walking backwards, a curb or something could be behind you. Drip, boom, fall, concussion. Mr. Halstead's got to fill out a lot of paperwork. So no walking backwards. If you need to back up, physically turn around, walk back out, check everything. All cell phones turned off or on silent, except you need to put in your phone an alarm. An alarm that goes off 15 or 20 minutes before class ends. You need to get back to the room, get whatever you filmed from the camera to your computer. This is important. If there's another class using these cameras later on in the day and they come in and they format the memory card, they erase whatever's on here, your stuff is gone. This is especially important for you. Let's start off with 20 minutes because you are only here once every 3 days. If you film something and you come back, okay, I didn't have enough time, so I just lost track of time, I'll put the camera away, and then I have 2 more groups possibly using the same camera, I don't know if your stuff is guaranteed to be there when you get back. Okay, so you want to set your alarm on this, it goes off, you might be in the middle of filming, but at least you're getting back in time. No running within the school, normally that is more of a big deal. I'm assuming this is not going to be a problem right now. No mock fighting. So typically, I would say to students that if you're out filming somewhere and you have some sort of fight scene, someone walking by might think that that is an actual altercation, contact the school, and then say there's students fighting outside, they're filming it, who knows, maybe they're putting it on YouTube, etc. So, no mock fighting unless you come and tell Darren ahead of time. Then we can kind of figure out a space where you can do that without setting off any alarms. No weapons used. Obviously, we're in a school environment. It doesn't matter if it's like a bright orange water pistol. We don't want to have any weapons in our films. Again, if this was a club, this was outside of school, sure, we might allow some of these things, but because it's in a school environment, we're not going to include that in our films. If there's other things that you need to include or you feel like, I just need to have this in my film, just come talk to one of us and we'll try and figure out ways to maybe film it without actually seeing it. No students or friends can be pulled from other classes to be used in filming, so you can't say, well, Mr. Alstead, I got my friend out of math each day that I've been filming because they're my main actor or actress. No. If you have a friend that's not in class during this period, then that's fine for them to be in it. You don't actually have to be in any of your films other than this one, because you're the director. The director is not often in the films, but when you're the director for a low budget film, often the director's in it, just because there's more jobs that the director's doing. No filming in the front hallway by the office. There's a lot of traffic going through. People who are walking by often look right at the camera, which will screw it up for you, or people are talking, or they might say, beat it, you gotta find somewhere else to be. Noise kept to a minimum while class is taking place. Again, I don't think this is gonna be a huge problem this semester or this year. And if a teacher asks you to move on, find another spot to film. I've put these guidelines up on the website as well as the steps to signing up the camera. I feel like I'm talking really fast, but I want to get through one last thing. The tripod. When you pick up a tripod from the room, the tripod legs will be extended. You can collapse them, but in the room, what we found was if we collapsed the legs and then we set the tripods up, someone will walk by accidentally, the tripod falls, hits the ground, knobs, legs, arms break. So what you'll do is you'll collapse the legs, and then when we set them up in class, might not be able to see that from the shot there, but when we set them up like this in the classroom, then they're more stable. They're less likely to tip over. Every tripod is a little bit different, but they all have the basic same idea. There are knobs on each of the tripods that will let you tilt up, pan. I'll go over all these camera movements later, but the legs all extend. Now you want to extend them all the way so that the tripod is like level. Okay? Oftentimes there will be a little level on the tripods, so you can use that as well. So you set up the tripods, you extend all of the legs. Now, there are a couple reasons why the legs extend. You want to make it easy to move around with the tripod, so the legs will collapse. I've had students open up all the legs and then they try and walk through the classroom door and they can't because all the legs are extended. It sounds funny, but that's often what happens. So collapse the legs, take the camera off of the tripod. Each tripod has, at the top, this is called a shoe. So what this does is each one will come off slightly differently depending on the type of tripod. We've got 4 different types of tripods in the room. But again, they all have a shoe, and there is a release. Once you've released it, underneath it'll say which way the lens is pointing, and the screw at the bottom, or the thread at the bottom of the camera, is always the same. So you've got your shoe, you figure out which way it's supposed to be pointed, you take your camera and you figure out where that thread is at the bottom. You start to tighten it, just do it with your fingers. It doesn't have to be, if there's a little slot there, it almost looks like a screw for a screwdriver, or for a screw with, you could screw it in as tight as possible, but you just have to hand tighten it. At that point, you can take the strap off, set it into the tripod. It will just go in smoothly, and then you tighten it to make sure that it is stable. You got everything set up. You can do your fine focus, all that stuff here. If you need to move the tripod, and then redo it, hit record, etc. You're ready to come back to class. Loosen it. Okay, the last video cut off right as I was talking about loosening the shoe. So when you loosen the shoe, take the camera, take the shoe off the camera, put the camera back on your neck, collapse the tripod, and come back to class. Now, when you get back to class, so you've got your camera, you're holding it like this in your right hand, where you have the on-off button. There is a sliding door here. So for those of you in class, I'll just get you to stop what you're doing right now, so you can see this. The door on the side of your camera, you just make sure your camera is off, very important. Then you just kind of slide that door, which is also like a really cheap piece of plastic, just like the battery door. You want to be very gentle with it. In that spot right here is something called the SD card. So that's whatever you're recording or taking photos of goes to the SD card. You just push it in gently, slide it out. You have your SD card. You bring it back to when you come back to class. This is when you take it out, and there's a spot on your Mac at the back to push this in. Now, it will slide in gently unless you've got it upside down. You slide in the SD card on your desktop. It will pop up as like a little icon it'll look like this. It's just like a USB really, where you can open it up, see what clips you have, copy those clips, drag them into your folder. One other thing, when you're putting the SD card in to the computer, don't grab the computer, turn it sideways, and then stick it in. Anytime you're grabbing the computer and turning it, the power could pop out, the power cord. So what you actually need to do is stand up, look over, see where the slot is. If you're not sure, take a closer look. I don't think there's any slots that you can accidentally put this in anymore. So there is, right beside the USB, a spot for an SD card. You put it in there, and then once you're done getting your files into your folder, you just right click on that icon for the SD card, eject it, so it's ejected safely, then you pull it out, then you again slide it back into the camera. If it doesn't slide in easily, then you have it backwards. You just slide it in, and then you just push until it kind of clicks into place. You gently close that door, and then you return the camera to Darren or myself. And then you can hand sanitize and go back to your computer, and then you want to check all of your clips. If you did all your recording at the beginning of class, you got back to class, you put all your clips on your computer, and you were like watching them, and there's still lots of time left in class, and you realize, oh geez, everything's out of focus, or oh, I didn't do something correctly, or I forgot to add something. Then after you check all of your clips, if you still have time and it's still something that you want to do that day, you can go and refilm, or reshoot. But I think that's it for the camera and tripod. Again, if I've missed anything, I will mention that in class. Okay? Thank you.